The forbidden patterns. Let's start with a question. What if reality itself had hidden patterns, shapes, and numbers that science once recognized but later dismissed as too mystical? Picture a cathedral window or a spider's web. Look closer, and you will find repetition, proportion, rhythm. For centuries, thinkers treated those repetitions as more than decoration. They read meaning into lines, circles, spirals. Sacred geometry and numerology once played central roles in ancient sciences. Pythagoras did not merely measure triangles. He proposed that numbers had character and that musical harmony reflected cosmic order. Architects, astrologers, and healers used symbolic proportions as practical tools. The golden ratio guided sculptures and temples, while number sequences informed calendars and rituals. With the Renaissance came careful measurement, then experiment, and with that a slow divorce from symbolism. As instruments improved, the language of proof favored testable claims over symbolic resonance. Still, the old ideas did more than decorate old books. They organized attention, guided craft, and shaped experiments in ways we rarely trace back today. If reality is built on hidden patterns, then every event, every thought, every coincidence may not be random. Suppose small number relationships influence chemistry or thought. What would that mean for innovation or for the way we tell stories about chance? Imagine a designer who folds meaning into microstructures, the markings on a shell, the layout of seeds in a sunflower. Perhaps these are not random outcomes of growth, but signatures of laws we do not yet know how to read. Or perhaps the patterns are emergent, appearing from repeated interactions without a singular designer. Either way, the presence of pattern opens different possibilities for how we predict, craft, and live. A mason once carved the proportions of a temple into its stones, certain that those ratios would protect the people who lived inside. Whether superstition or secret wisdom, the temple stood while storms came and went. The story does not prove the geometry true. It only proves that belief in patterns changes behavior. But imagine if that belief corresponded to a real, physical influence, an invisible lattice underpinning matter itself. Such a discovery would be quieter and stranger than a headline. It would creep into design, medicine, and language before anyone claimed to have proven the obvious. If patterns shape our world, then it's tempting to follow the trail outward into ideas that start to undo the ground beneath our feet. Once you peer beneath surface order, you may stumble into proposals so wild they were banished from respectable inquiry. Which brings us to the next theory. The Earth itself as a shell with a hidden interior. The hollow Earth. Imagine walking on solid ground, knowing that beneath your feet might not just be stone and magma, but vast hidden worlds. Think of caves that spill into caverns, of myths where the underworld hosts entire kingdoms. Hollow Earth theories carry that same intuitive tug. The unseen can be as vast as the seen. The Hollow Earth theory claimed that inside our planet were entire civilizations, oceans, and even suns. Early myths placed entrances at caves, mountain passes, and polar ice. In the 17th and 18th centuries, with limited geological data, natural philosophers entertained the possibility of hollow layers. By the 19th century, a few explorers and eccentric scientists proposed maps and models. Tales of Agartha and Shambhala mingled with real voyages. Sailors reported strange lights, polar explorers found odd magnetic readings, and storytellers filled the gaps with narrative. Modern geology and seismology have ruled out a truly hollow planet. Sound waves from earthquakes map internal layers with precision: crust, mantle, outer core, inner core. Yet the hollow Earth story persists not because it offers a better scientific model, but because it answers deeper wants. It offers hidden places for lost knowledge and secret refuges for wandering minds. What makes this fascinating isn't whether it's real, it's the symbolism. If Earth could be hollow, then our sense of depth becomes metaphorical as well as literal. Concealed layers stand for hidden histories, for trauma and memory, for the idea that beneath any surface lies another story. Suppose for a moment that subterranean realms existed. What social orders might flourish there? What ideas would evolve in isolation? Thinking this way encourages empathy for unseen communities in our own world and humility about what mapping and measurement can and cannot reveal. Picture a scientist who discovers a cavern containing maps of a culture that never touched the surface. Their first reaction is scientific curiosity. The second is the same ancient wonder that pushed sailors into storms. The story asks us to imagine discovery as both a technical and spiritual event. Would confirmation of the hidden change us, or would we fold the new fact into old frameworks and keep walking? The hollow earth forces us to consider how knowledge converts mystery into matter and how much we accept as final. If Earth might hold hidden worlds, then what about the skies? Are they even what they seem? The phantom universe. What if the stars above us aren't infinite, but a projection? A cosmic mirage placed there to guide or deceive us. Picture a painted ceiling above a small village square, an illusion crafted to enchant. The idea is unnerving because it makes the vast intimate and the intimate suspect. Some band theories suggested the sky itself is an illusion, like the firmament described in ancient texts. In the premodern mind, a dome enclosing the heavens fit as neatly as an onion skin. Later, as telescopes extended our reach, the dome yielded to the idea of a nearly boundless universe. In the 20th century, physicists and philosophers flirted with holographic principles and simulation hypotheses. Leading thinkers proposed that three-dimensional space might emerge from information stored at boundaries, or that what we call reality could be computationally generated. These proposals move between metaphysics and testable physics. The holographic principle arises from attempts to reconcile gravity with quantum mechanics. The simulation hypothesis draws from computer science and epistemology. Fringe theories about a literal dome are largely discredited, but the metaphor persists because it questions the ontological status of everything we see. If the stars are not real, then space travel, cosmic history, and our sense of scale may be illusions. The consequences are both practical and existential. Practically, it would call into question the interpretation of astronomical data. Existentially, it would demand a new story for humanity's place in the cosmos. Are we passengers, actors on an elaborate set, or creators within a nested reality? One useful frame is to treat the idea as a tool, not a verdict. The possibility of a constructed sky can sharpen our thinking about evidence, simulation, and what counts as explanation. Close your eyes and picture a planetarium. Now imagine the projector failing, sudden darkness, then the stars return. Would you feel betrayed or relieved? The metaphor is blunt but effective. Whether the cosmos is projection or not, the feeling of awe it produces is real and meaningful. If the cosmos is a projection, then maybe our own minds are not the explorers we think they are, but the deceived. The forbidden mind experiments. Not all banned science lives in physics or astronomy. Some of it hides in the mind. That is where questions become intimate and threatening. What if thoughts can act on the world in ways we cannot yet measure? From classified programs exploring remote viewing to popular claims of telekinesis, telepathy, and shared dreams, many mind-centered theories have been marginalized or mocked. In the mid-20th century, intelligence agencies funded research into psychic phenomena precisely because the claims were practical. If someone could view distant targets or influence decisions remotely, the implications for security were enormous. Public results were inconclusive, research sometimes shoddy, and many projects quietly folded. Yet the study of consciousness remains one of science's hardest problems. Hard problems invite speculation. Some modern researchers propose that consciousness is not a mere byproduct of neural activity, but a fundamental property of the universe. Panpsychism, integrated information theory, and other frameworks attempt to bridge subjective experience and objective measurement. If any aspects of mind-centered hypotheses turn out to be true, the ethical, legal, and philosophical consequences would be vast. If even a fraction of these ideas were true, then privacy, responsibility, and identity would shift. Imagine laws rewritten to reflect mental influence, or medicine transformed by therapist scientists who could tune consciousness directly. The unsettling side of this thought is the loss of control. If minds are porous, who or what touches them? The comforting side is possibility. Perhaps healing could occur without scalpels. Perhaps empathy could be trained as a measurable skill. Consider an experiment in which a group attempts to influence a small random process, say, the roll of a die, over many trials. Results are small, effects equivocal, yet the participants report measurable shifts in attention and meaning. Even absent grand claims, these subtler outcomes matter. They suggest that inquiry into psychic hypotheses often yields other insights, new methods, unexpected statistics, and a deeper sense of how humans form belief. And if the mind itself is forbidden ground, then what happens when science turns its gaze on time, the most untouchable mystery of all? The loops of time. What if time doesn't move forward at all, but loops endlessly, trapping us in cycles we can't escape? The idea touches something both ancient and modern, the human appetite to find patterns in sequences, to predict and retell events. The eternal recurrence, explored by philosophers, suggests that existence repeats in full. In physics, models of cyclic cosmology propose universes that expand and contract, or bounce, leading to successive eras that might share structure. In more speculative corners, some thinkers imagine exact repetitions down to individual lives. Other models allow similar but non-identical recurrences. Time loops appear too in quantum proposals where histories interfere, and in thought experiments about closed time-like curves. These are not mainstream certainties, but they are legitimate questions at the edge of theoretical physics and metaphysics. Whether time loops are global features of reality or local curiosities remains unresolved. Still, the thought is intoxicating because it reframes meaning. If events repeat, do choices matter? Is creativity an illusion or a new arrangement within old patterns? If this theory is real, then you've lived this exact moment before and will again. That is both a liberating and a terrifying notion. It may comfort by suggesting patterns persist. It may horrify by implying futility. The ethical implication is subtle. If actions recur, responsibility might be seen as cosmic discipline rather than mere contingency. Conversely, knowledge that loops exist could motivate radical freedom. If one knows the script, one can improvise at the margins. Think of melody. A song returns to a theme, then departs and returns again. The repetition gives it weight. Perhaps time's loops are like musical structure, providing motifs against which novelty can play. Worry and wonder coexist. Both are honest responses to a theory that refuses to fit neatly into popular categories. When we speak of banned theories, it's easy to imagine secret files and ostracized thinkers. More often, the story is quieter. A theory grows, meets evidence, is trimmed, renamed, or set aside. Some ideas are discarded for good reasons. Others are exiled because they challenge reigning assumptions or because measurement tools are not yet sensitive enough. So as you drift into sleep, remember this. Scientific boundaries are provisional. They change with instruments and patience. The forbidden, the banned, the discarded, sometimes these are the sparks that lead to new light. Let your curiosity roam these margins tonight without needing to resolve them. Some questions are less a demand for answers than an invitation to look longer. If these ideas feel unnerving, that is part of their purpose. They unsettle the neat narratives we tell ourselves so we notice them. To hold strange ideas without being swallowed by them, practice a simple rhythm. Notice, question, rest. Notice the claim or image that pulls at you. Question it. Where did it come from? What would it imply if true? What would it imply if false? Then rest. Let the image sit without forcing a verdict. Most nights, truth does not demand immediate conversion. It asks for patience. If you plan to use this script for a short audio, speak slowly and pause between images. Let one sentence settle before the next arrives. When describing a theory, use one concrete example to anchor it, then return to the broader thought. Silence is not empty. It is the space in which listeners fold a new idea into memory. Curiosity has edges, and so does skepticism. They balance each other. You can admire a forbidden idea like you admire a constellation. Enjoy the pattern without mistaking it for the whole sky. Treat each claim as a lamp. It can illuminate things we could not otherwise see, but it can also cast misleading shadows. On a final, small note, picture a room with many windows. Through some windows you see stars, through others you see the cracks in the plaster. Walk the room tonight. Open one window at a time. Let one view fill your sight. Close the window when the scene has had enough of you. Sleep with curiosity that is gentle, not hungry. Dream with the freedom to imagine both the hollow and the full. If you'd like to explore, choose one topic and read widely. Primary sources, critiques, and thoughtful essays. Contrast zeal with caution. Tonight, try a simple practice. Breathe slowly for 6 counts, hold 2, breathe 6, hold 2, for 5 cycles. With each exhale, imagine letting an old assumption go. With each inhale, welcome a tiny, new question. That is,